Students, let's discuss now the next topic, which is related to the previous topic, that why did Newton assume force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two objects. Force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. Why he has taken the square of the inverse of the square of the distance? So this we can prove with the very simple demonstration here. Let us consider an object is moving around another object in the circular path. Say for example, this is the sun and this is earth. So earth is moving in the circular orbit, circular path. The mass of earth is m and the distance between the two objects, that is sun and earth or sun and any planet, is r. In the very beginning of the lesson we have learned that when any object is moving in the circular direction, then it is experiencing the force, and that force is nothing but the centripetal force. So this is the force which is attracting this object toward the sun, which is the center of this circular path. And this object is moving object. Since it is moving, it has some speed, and this is the constant speed. It is not changing. It is same for every place where it is moving. So object is moving in the circular path. The mass of object is m. The distance between the two objects is r, and speed is the v. And it is experiencing the force of attraction, that is the centripetal force. So again we will use the same. R is the radius, v is the speed, m is the mass of planet, and F is centripetal force. Centripetal force means center seeking force when object is moving in the circular orbit. So here force, that is force, the value of force will be mass into acceleration. Now acceleration, since object is moving in the circular orbit, so acceleration of the circular moving object will be v square upon r, that is square of the speed upon r. So remember this one, since this is the circular moving object, for calculating the value of force, mass into acceleration, this formula we will take, and the value of A we will take v square upon r. Why v square upon r? Because object is in the circular motion. So acceleration of circular moving object is calculated by this formula. Let us put it in the formula, F into ma. So F is equal to mass into A. Value of A is v square upon r. Up to here is clear? Now circular moving object with the speed v. So what is the formula for calculating v? In the 9th standard we have learned. Speed is equal to distance travelled upon time. Means suppose object is over here, it moves, reaches here, again it moves and reaches here, and finally it comes back. Means this complete circular path, it is nothing but the distance. How much distance it travel? From here back to here. That is circumference or perimeter of the circular object. So how long the object travel, distance traveled by object is nothing but the circumference of the object. So speed can be calculated as v is equal to 2 pi r upon time, that is t. So v is equal to 2 pi r upon t. We will substitute the value of t in the expression of force. Force is equal to m into v square upon r, and the value of v is 2 pi r upon t. So 2 pi r upon t, it's a square. Let's move to the next step. So we have reached here, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Here acceleration is m into v square upon r, and value of v is 2 pi r upon t, it's a square. Let us square all these things, so we will get m into 2 square 4. pi square, and r square upon t square, and divided by r. So r cancel. What will remain? Force is equal to 4. This 4 I am taking in the beginning. 4 m pi square r upon t square. Now at this stage, for getting the result of this question, what we will do mathematically? Multiply and divide by r square. Why we are doing this? We will apply here Kepler's law. So for deriving the expression of the universal law of universal constant of gravitation, Newton got help of Kepler's third law. How? We will see in the next coming step. So we will multiply and divide by r square. So this expression will become F is equal to 4m pi square into r. This is original value which we have, upon t square. Now here we will multiply by r square. Also we will divide by r square. Next step, r into r square, r cube. So 4m pi square upon r square into r cube upon t square. Do you remember something? Do you remember something? What this reminds us? Kepler's third law. We have learned in the Kepler's third law that square of the time taken by the circular moving object is directly proportional to the cube of the distance between them, that is the radius. So constant of proportion, so t square is equal to k, t square is equal to k into r cube, and since k is equal to t square upon r cube, so here k is equal to t square upon r cube. If you will make it inverse, k means what? K upon 1. So if you will inverse it, it will become 1 upon k. And since here we are inversing it, here also we have to inverse. So this t square upon r cube will become r cube upon t square, which is 1 upon k is equal to r cube upon t square. Now see, in our expression, r cube upon t square, this value will substitute. So 4m pi square upon r square into 1 upon k, means it will become 4m pi square upon r square into k. Now in this expression, if you will look at this value, 4 is the constant value, mass of the object is constant, it will not change, it will remain same. Pi is the constant once again, and k is the again constant value, means in this expression all these values are constant. What is remaining? 1 upon r square. R square means distance between the two objects, right? So that's why Newton has assumed force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two objects. Is it clear? So from this, Newton concluded that the centripetal force, which is force acting on the planet and responsible for circular motion, must be inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the planet and the sun. This we have proved mathematically. Newton identified this force with the force of gravity and hence postulated the inverse square of gravitation. The gravitational force is much weaker. It is having less value, right? It is much weaker, but it is controlling the whole nature. The whole universe is exerting because of this gravitational force, which every object is possessing. So it controls the whole universe and it decides the future of the whole universe. This is possible because huge masses of the planet, stars and other constituent of the universe. Is it clear? If you have any doubt, you note down, and during the discussion section, you may ask your doubt. From this video, you can take snapshot and point out your doubts. We will discuss it later on. and read the textbook page number 5. Here in the end of textbook page number 5, they have given one point in use your brain power. Is there a gravitational force between the two objects kept on the table, or between you and your friend, or between you and me? Is there a gravitational force? Yes, definitely it is. The two paints which are placed on the bench, they are attracting each other. You and your friend, you both have attraction, force of attraction between each other. You and me, we all are attracting each other. Even blackboard and myself, we are attracting each other. You are getting attracted toward the blackboard. Every object is attracting each other. Now what they are continuing with here, if yes, then why don't we get closer to each other? Means, if suppose these two objects are placed here, so if they are forcing each other, now if suppose I will force something, if I will apply the force on this whiteboard, the whiteboard will move toward me, right? On application of force. So if they both are applying force on each other, why do not they move toward each other? Why they don't come to each other? Why I am not waiting? Why we are not observing that I am moving toward the blackboard, right? Or you are moving toward me, or you are moving toward each other? It is because what is there between us? There is something, right? And it is exerting friction, and that frictional force opposes the two objects so that they do not come close to each other. So you may write down in your textbook the answer of this with pencil. You note down. Is there a gravitational force between two objects kept on the table, or between you and your friend, or any two objects? Yes, definitely. Why don't they move toward each other? Because of the friction acting on each other, which is present in between the object here, exerting frictional force, which is opposing the movement of the two objects. Next is solve examples. We will see in the next section. Keep on reading. So today you have to read textbook page number 4 and 5, as well as listen this video carefully. Just read this blackboard writing and note down your doubts. Thank you.